Hello. Welcome to VFW Post 10223, Quartermaster's class. Today, we will learn a little about the monthly Quartermaster's report and what each category is used for. The Quartermaster uses a ledger that looks quite complicated and confusing. You may be asking, where does the money come from? How is the money divided into categories? What is the money used for? It can be somewhat overwhelming. Hopefully, after this video, you will have a better understanding of the ins and outs of post funding. In the Quartermaster's report, there are 9 categories where our income and expenditures are logged. They are National Dues, District 3 Per Capita Dues, Life Membership Incentive Program, General Fund, Relief Fund, Dues Reserve, Canteen Fund, MAP Fund, and Improvement Fund. We will discuss these in detail and explain where each comes from and what they may be used for. Our first category is National Dues. This category is no longer tracked at the post level, as all dues, whether annual or life, are sent directly to National. National will then send back to the post, at a scheduled rate, the post portion of the dues. For example, let's say the post recruits 3 new annual members this month. Each membership is $40. Our post receives $9.50 for each member, for a total of $28.50. This will be transferred to the post at the end of the month. Once that money is received, it is split into 3 different categories: Per Capita Dues, General Fund, and Dues Reserve. These categories will be explained later. The post portion of life memberships are calculated a bit differently, however, they are handled in the same manner, once the post receives the funds. The post portion from life memberships comes from National, 3 times a year: September, January, and July. That happens every year, for all post life members registered. So, life membership helps the post tremendously in our financial stability. Are you totally confused yet? I know I am. Math is hard. Hang in there and don't worry. Your Quartermaster has it under control. He was expertly trained by the best. The next section in our ledger is District 3 Per Capita Dues. This is like a tax that is levied on each post from our district. It is based on total membership from each post and provides operating capital for the district. We take 75 cents from each member's dues returned to the post from National, and place it in this category. That way, by the end of the VFW year, we will have enough to cover the per capita tax. That is all this category can be used for. If there are monies left over after we pay the tax, it is moved to the general fund at the beginning of the next VFW year. Our third category is the Life Membership Incentive Program. This is funded by District 3, and they set the guidelines on its usage. We can only use this money to promote our life membership program. For every 5 life members we recruit, we receive a $400 stipend. Currently, the post has decided that each new life member will receive a $75 rebate from this fund. This was decided and voted on by the post members, but has to remain within the district guidelines. The next section is the General Fund. This is the fund that is most used. We can use this fund for just about anything. The only stipulation is, all items funded by this category have to be discussed and voted on by the general membership. Do you want to do a cookout? Bring it up under new business and tell them, General Fund please. Would you like to support a scouting event? Dip into that general fund. The JROTC needs new Honor Guard rifles. That's right, you guessed it. Use the general fund. There are several ways we get our money for the general fund. Remember when we talked about membership dues? Well, after we take out the 75 cents for per capita tax, the remainder is split and 1/2 goes into the general fund. Another way we get money for the general fund is from the post canteen. Currently, the canteen is rebuilding its own fund. But, once it reaches its goal, then canteen profits can be placed into the general fund. Donations are also an acceptable way we can add money to this fund. So, if you are feeling generous, talk to the Quartermaster. After the general fund, we have the relief fund. This fund is a bit more restrictive. The way we get our money for this fund is solely from Buddy Poppy drives and donations to the Buddy Poppy jar in our canteen. Each year we are required to purchase, from National, a minimum of 500 Buddy Poppies. The proceeds of this purchase go to the VFW National Rehabilitation Service, the VFW National Home, in Eaton Rapids, Michigan, and our Department Rehabilitation Service. We can also spend this money on other areas, such as aid, assistance, relief, and comfort of needy or disabled veterans or members of the armed forces and their dependents, and the surviving spouses and orphans of deceased veterans. Maintenance and expansion of the VFW National Home for Children and other facilities devoted exclusively to the benefit and welfare of the dependents, surviving spouse, and orphans of disabled, needy or deceased veterans or members of the armed forces. Necessary expenses in providing entertainment, care, and assistance to hospitalized veterans or members of the armed forces. Veterans rehabilitation, welfare and service work. To perpetuate the memory of deceased veterans and members of the armed forces and to comfort their survivors. To foster true patriotism through historical and educational programs. Remission of dues of sick, needy or disabled members. And finally, any necessary expenses to support the relief fund. Our next category is dues reserve. The money in this category comes solely from member dues. Remember when we discussed how the post receives a certain amount for each member? And, after the per capita tax is subtracted, half of the remainder goes into the general fund? Well, the other half goes here. We use this fund as sort of a savings account. It guarantees we will have money to operate at the beginning of the new VFW year. At the beginning of the year, the money in this fund gets moved to the general fund and we start this fund all over again. Following dues reserve is the canteen fund. This was set up to assist with the operating costs of running the canteen. All monies in this fund come from the canteen. It was set up by the post members to give a buffer in case the canteen ran into hard times and could not sustain itself. The maximum amount this fund can hold is $10,000, and all funds after this are deposited directly into the general fund. This fund proved its significance during the worst of the COVID-19 epidemic, and we are grateful for the foresight of the approving members. This is a discretionary fund. The rules can change by a canteen committee recommendation and membership vote. Up next, we have the MAP fund. MAP stands for Military Assistance Program. Funding for this category comes from our 50/50 raffle each month. This money can only be used for troop support activities, to build relationships, and provide information to our local military about VFW programs and services. This is the main source of funding for our Adopt a Unit program. It can be used for family days, picnics, barbecues, welcome home and deployment ceremonies, holidays, and festivals. This fund cannot be used for public events and/or formal military events such as military dining ins or dining outs, military balls, change of command/responsibility ceremonies, etc. Hey! Guess what? We're on the last category. Our last category in the ledger is the Improvement Fund. This was set up by the members to provide a resource earmarked solely for the improvement of the post/canteen. It was originally funded by proceeds from the Sunday breakfast program. There is no current set amount designated for input to this fund. All uses of the money in this category are used for the improvement of the post/canteen, such as exhaust fans for the kitchen, repair or replacement of the bar stools, new equipment, etc. Well, that pretty much wraps it up for the Quartermaster's ledger entries. Aren't you glad that's over? Hopefully, you got something out of this presentation. Thank you for your time, and if you have any questions, please see this guy. Sponsored by VFW Post 10223. Have a great day.